Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Are you in the verge of establishing your ISO 14001 version 2015 environmental management system? Or are you already certified, but there's an upcoming surveillance audit and you got to review your environmental aspects? Or you are opting for looking forward for the upcoming recertification audit, where also you have got to review your environmental aspects register and its how the environmental aspects was identified. So probably all this, then this video is relevant for you. Now, I thank you. Alhamdulillah, I live today until the 12th of Rabiul Akhir 1442. Today is 28th of November 2020, the day this recording is made. YouTube, thank you very much, and I must thank all my all these channels, subscribers, viewers, and followers. I am grateful to be here before you. Okay, and in this video, this time, this is pertaining to environmental management system ISO 14001. As you could see, we are going to do the input-output analysis. This is a tool in identifying environmental aspects, and it is a very important tool. So in this particular video, we are going to look at immediately after this where this process is situated in the entire chronology of the ISO 14001 implementation. And then I'll bring you into how input and output analysis for the identification of environmental aspects is done. The chosen activity is diesel transfer. We'll take a look. I'll keep it short, simple, sharp. Okay, and after that, I will bring you and display before you the environmental aspects impact register, and we'll take a look how it fit in. I call it the dashboard. All right, before we go on, my Muslims counterpart, please do not watch this video if you are in a mosque, okay, and attending Friday khutbah, Friday prayers, or you are in any religious session. Thank you very much. I love you for that. Okay, so if you're ready, let us go to the next slide. Okay, what I'm showing before you is the entire chronology of the implementation of ISO 14001 version 2015. If you have already done it, bravo, congratulations. And this video is probably for people who is about to embark in the establishment of the environmental management system 14001, or for those who have already established, but there are some minor issues here and there pertaining to their environmental management system per se, in terms of especially due diligence, then this could be worthy for you. Look, we have the standard. It is a very good document, the ISO 14001, a very good guidance, but there's a lot of things. So I make it simple for you by having this chronology, this sort of a kind of flow chart, okay, giving you a picture of where we are when we do the input-output analysis. We are doing input-output analysis for the purpose of identifying environmental aspects. And what is environmental aspects? It is anything, substance, matter, object, equipment, building that interacts with the environment or can interact with the environment, okay? And well, in the old version, it says can cause adverse or beneficial impact. But the new version, 14,001, it made it simple. Can it interacts or can interact with the environment? That's it. Now, why is environmental aspects important? Simple. The Environmental Management System, ISO 14001, stipulated that an environmental management system manages the environmental aspects. It manages these environmental aspects. Which environmental aspects? Another thing. Do we have to manage significant ones, or we don't have to manage less significant ones? Another issue. Okay, but the Environmental Management System 14001 stipulated that an environmental management system manages environmental aspects by fulfilling compliance obligation and addressing risk and opportunities. These are all around the environmental aspects. I mean, in the organization, all you have around here are actually, you know, interested parties to our company that we are obliged to comply to. We are having obligation, and this is where we have got to identify our environmental aspects to ensure that the compliance obligation is fulfilled. On top of that, we have to identify the associated risks and opportunities related to our environmental aspects and their respective processes. And then we got to evaluate our environmental aspects. It is recommended that we evaluate as per ISO 14001 recommendation as well in the guidance for use. And once we have done that, then we have a list of significant environmental aspects highlighted, and all our environmental aspects shall be registered in what I would call, many would call, aspects impact register. Only when, if you are new, about to embark on ISO 14001, if your organization is just about to get into environmental management system, please remember, only after we have registered all our environmental aspects. In other words, we know what are our environmental aspects. After the evaluation, we know which environmental aspects is significant or are significant and those which are not. Which environmental aspects require urgent attention. Which environmental aspects would have a very high legal liability but not so significant in occurrence or frequency of occurrence. Okay, so with that, having that, knowing all that, knowing our organization and the environmental aspects around us that is involved in our company, and we know our so-called environmental situation, then only then we formulate our policy. Our policy would reflect our process, our activity, and our respective and our overall environmental aspect. And then we formulate our objective. What do we want to do? What do we need to do? What would be this company's vision as far as environmental management is concerned? Pollution prevention, resource conservation, waste minimization, etc., etc. Legal compliance. There are a lot of policies going around, and you got to pick those that suit the intent of your company. Once that is done, we formulate our environmental management program. Now, this standard call it planning actions to achieve. And the entire thing your top management, the steering committee, the EMR, you got to sit down and ask yourself what is really the intended outcome of your ISO 14001 endeavor. What do you want to achieve at the end of the day? What would be the company's mission and vision fulfillment as far as environmental management is concerned? You know, it's huge. So you pick, you got to sit down with the top management, all right? And all in all, the intended outcome has got to conjure to this, okay? Performance. The intended outcome that you choose shall have something that is written and displayed objectively about the environmental performance from the company. It could be big, it could be small, it could be remarkable, it could be moderate, doesn't matter, as long as you are able to achieve those objectives, and during the achievement, during the process, you got to check the environmental performance. Okay, environmental performance for environmental management system, ISO has promulgated a standard for it. Actually, it's a tool. I'm using it now. ISO 14001 ISO 14031, sorry, is about environmental performance evaluation. There are three types of indicators. We'll try. I think I will show you in the what do you call it, the dashboard shortly, or the last slide. And then fulfillment of compliance obligation. That's the outcome. End of the day, your organization shall be contented or happy, or shall be able to witness all the compliance obligation has been achieved, has been complied to at least. Okay, uh, not in terms of just numerics or complying per se, but there is evidence that effort and direction towards total compliance is ongoing. Therefore, it is a fulfillment of compliance obligation. What they want from you, what they need you to comply or adhere to, or service or provide, is all covered. All right, and also achievement of environmental objective. These are three main items that should not be left out when we talk about, when your company is talking about intended outcome. That is where the relationship of the establishment of ISO 14001 with regards to what we are going to do in this video, which is input output analysis, is a method in identifying environmental aspects. So let's go into the input output analysis to identify our environmental aspects. This is what you have. You have got input output analysis, and this is is the most important process when we have to identify our environmental aspects. And to understand what is environmental aspects, the ISO has mentioned that an environmental aspect is anything that interacts or can interact with the environment. Okay, so this is an activity which is diesel transfer. I believe you remember my video on how safety, health, and environment, how she managed diesel transfer, which I linked quite vividly, safety, health, and environment in the previous video. So this video is taking the same picture, but we talk about environmental management, and in this case, input output analysis. Okay, this is the diesel transfer process. It's an activity, right? It is the transfer of diesel fuel from the tanker, lorry, which comes into this factory and unload substantial prescribed agreed amount volume of diesel from this lorry to the uh, to one uh, diesel skip tank, they call it a storage tank built for this particular factory. So it's a transfer of diesel from the lorry to the factory's diesel tank. That's it. That is the process. The process is transfer diesel from the tank to another tank. Literally, that's it. So what happened? When this lorry comes in, as far as we know, it is a diesel powered engine. Okay, it comes in, and well, in order to run the pump, he has got to turn on the diesel engine. This is the old conventional type of lorry. So I think you know what's happened. What happens now? Environmental aspects. What are they? Take a look. First thing, I try to make it simple. It can be enormous, because I have done life cycle assessment and without having allocation, without having boundary, for one simple activity. And it took me and two other colleagues 6 months to complete. I spent a lot of money there, but I'm proud we get the entire LCA done for that particular activity, but we spent so much because we got to travel to the source and origin. So when we do input-output analysis, you don't have to do that because the standard has shown you. I've displayed here. This is what the standard has stated about life cycle perspective. Okay, you can read it now. We have to look at the input and output of this process. What? Diesel transfer. So what comes in? The first thing that we can take a look is the lorry comes in. Of course, the lorry is an environmental aspect, but we count that out for a while just for this explanation. Comes with a transfer system. It is a system. It comprises of motor, it comprises of hoses, flanges, connectors, etc. You know best. I'm not the expert in that transfer mechanics. Okay, those are system. Those are made of materials. And when we observed, the pumps, the connectors, the pipes are metals, and the hoses are made of rubberized rubberized plastic, PVC, or they call it some even using what, polyurethane hoses. All these are materials that made up the system. So the metal is originating from environmental resource. So since this is an input environmental aspect, we got to look at its life cycle perspective. Therefore, as I said, the metal component, the synthetic rubber component, all comes from what? Eventually, oil and gas. It comes from oil. So their associated environmental impact when we look upstream amounts to resource depletion, because metal you got to mine from natural resources, and the natural resources gets less and less, meaning depleting from time to time. Oil is coming from fossil fuel, and fossil fuel is depleting. It's a famous issue now, fossil fuel depletion. Okay, so the environmental impact from this particular environmental aspect is resource depletion. Simple as that. It is more complicated, but we make it simple. Now, what that is input. What comes in is the transfer system. But from time to time, we saw that while the transfer is underway, some of the parts of the transfer system gets kaput, defected, malfunction, clogged, blocked, rupture, you name it. It could be the hose, could be the pump, could be the what do you call it, the connector, the flanges, and that has got to change. So the old ones, the used, the defected ones, if it is, if it is disposed of in this factory's premise, it gets into the dustbin. Therefore, as an output environmental aspect, we look at the downstream of its life cycle perspective. What happened to it next? So it will be disposed, of course, in this company's garbage skip or waste skip. Eventually, it will be collected by some municipal garbage collector or probably scheduled waste contractor, sending it to either a sanitary landfill, municipal landfill, or if it is a scheduled waste, it will be sent to secure landfill, and thus this will happen in that place elsewhere, causing soil contamination. That is the absolute probable downstream end of its life cycle. All right, that is one example of input output analysis. We'll go to the next one. Okay, let's take a look at another environmental aspect. This one is in the tank, which is diesel. It comes to this factory as input. So would you like to explain how it interacts with the environment and cause environmental impact? Okay. Okay, I think you're trying. Good. Now, as far as our understanding is concerned, this is an input environmental aspect. Therefore, we look at its upstream of its life cycle perspective. Where does it come from? Diesel comes from oil refinery. Okay, an oil refinery gets their raw mats just like metals and other oils, but for this case oil, it gets its raw mat from crude oil. Okay, from the oil rigs, and those oil rigs are drilling bedrock, and the bedrock is where the reservoir of fossil fuel is. And it has been drilled years and years and years, for decades, for centuries now. So what's left in the reservoir? Well, I didn't keep the inventory, honestly, but we have reasons to believe, due to higher demand as compared to supply, and higher rate of extraction of fossil fuel compared to its regeneration or its formation from the bedrock, from the plates, etc. Apparently, we have evidence, or we have reasons to believe, that eventually the resources are depleting, and therefore the environmental impact due to those interactions is called resource depletion. Simple explanation. Okay, I'm not going down into geological subjects. Now that is upstream. That is diesel and input, and the more diesel, in other words, the more diesel that we use, we consume, and we purchase, and we buy, and we explore, means the reserves of fossil fuel is getting less. All right, that is the school of understanding. Now, this diesel is input. What is being transferred into the skip tank or the storage tank in the factory is also diesel. It is not transferred directly to the furnace or the boiler. Okay, so it is transferred to the diesel storage tank in this factory. We stop there. This activity is just the transfer to from tank to tank, from the tank on the lorry to the tank in the factory. That's it. Okay, now what happens? What are the interactions with the environment downstream? What happens to the diesel? It is stored and flow into the storage tank. The storage tank is open. The valve, the relief valve is open, so that there is air displacement and diesel can fill up the tank. While that happens, what transpire? Volatile organic compounds from diesel. Diesel has got low specific gravity, has got quite high vapor pressure. You can smell it. Therefore, that vapor causes or that vapor interacts with the environment and causes the smell that we could have, that we could feel. And that is the interaction, and that is a state of air pollution. Hope you get it. And while this transfer is underway, there is another aspect that comes out of the system whereby some of the diesels are spilled. And then what happened? It spills on the ground, on the floor of this factory, and eventually it is collected using spill kits and stored somewhere. But while it's on the ground, it is already interacting with the environment even before the recovery using spill kit or the cleanup using spill kit. What is that interaction causing? These spilled diesel interact with the ground, with the floor, and causes an environmental impact known as soil contamination. So that is downstream. What happens to diesel spill? That is the question when we look at the downstream of its life cycle perspective. And then, due to that, our emergency response team come to the scene with spill kit as input to this activity. And the spill kit, as you know, is made up from a lot of natural resources. It could be made of plastic, it could be adsorbent made of sawdust. If you talk about sawdust, sawdust is from wood and interact with the environment and causing deforestation. Let's assume that that is a natural resource. It is a natural resource. What else? You've got plastic, pumped hose, skimmers, okay, and they are being collected. And most of these spill kit tools are from natural resources, and therefore the more spill kit we use, it interacts with the environment and causes a state of resource depletion. All right, and assuming there is they do it with adsorber to contain the diesel, which is already, when we collect spilled diesel, we are collecting dirt, we are collecting sand particles and all other things that is binded to that diesel. It becomes a waste for them, but I have something else in mind if I get all this. Now, and all this will be interacting with the environment by virtue of the fact that it will be collected and stored in a special container, because in this country it is classified as scheduled waste. And it has got to be transferred to a prescribed premise, and over there, probably if it is dumped into the secure landfill, it causes soil contamination. Otherwise, if it is used as an auxiliary fuel, because it's diesel combustible, there are still calorific value in that liquid or in that dirt, it can be used probably if it's used to enhance the combustion or help out in the combustion or maintaining the temperature in the incinerator. Probably it will combust and thereby interact with the environment and causes air pollution. Here, okay, could be another one. Okay, so that is that is about dirty spill kits and the diesel truck. It comes in as diesel truck actually, and comes out also output is also diesel truck. But I'm not going to discuss that. The diesel truck is made from natural resources. You know by now. Look at the truck from the front bumper to the rear. Metal, rubber, artificial rubber. What else? Look at it. All right. Most of it are from oil and gas. So that is the diesel truck as an environmental aspect. The construction, the assembly, the make of diesel truck uses a lot of entirely natural resources and causes resource depletion. But while the truck is hauling or transferring the diesel, somehow this is an old version. They have got to turn on the engine, and while the engine is on, combustion is ongoing, and the exhaust is releasing diesel fumes that contains carbon dioxide, sulfur oxides, etc., hydrocarbon compound into the air, and they interact with the environment and causes air pollution. And that is interaction. Smoke, air pollution. What about this one? Noise, the engine noise, the diesel engine noise. They have got to rev up the RPM a little bit to ensure the transfer pump has got enough power, and that is nuisance literally to human being. Of course, the area which is supposed to be quiet, it could be recording some decibels, so it interact with the environment, the noise interact with the environment and cause some discomforts, loss of some aesthetic value of the area. So I would call it aesthetic degradation. Not up to hearing loss, but you don't feel comfortable with a high rev engine while you're at work, and that is just another environmental impact that comes to mind. You can add in others that you know. This is input output analysis summarized. This is just a few of the environmental aspects. I can't afford to show you everything. There's an array of environmental aspects. I hope this helps you understand the concept and the principle behind input output analysis to identify environmental aspects. Remember, input, we got to look upstream of the aspects life cycle perspective, how it interacts with the environment upstream. Output, we got to look downstream, how that environmental aspects interact with the environment and causes what impact. That's how we do it. Okay, so you can read the guidance there. You can look at A612 of the standards, right? And it is quite clear. We only, we don't do life cycle assessment here, okay? But we got to understand the life cycle perspective. I'm here showing you this video just to help you able to understand. If you are new in 14001, I believe this will help you. If you have done it, if you are certified, maybe this could be serving as a revision for you. Now let's take a look at the dashboard as I promised. So this is the dashboard that I love so much. and it was an effort to produce this those days when I was heavily involved in environmental management systems for companies. Actually, it's huge companies, mostly Japanese companies, and I don't do this anymore. Okay, and I just concentrate on training. No more consultation on sites. No more audits. Because I prefer to study now and take a look at things more in depth. And with that, I help out younger people to explore more of the knowledge. Right, my fellow consultants, trainers, auditors. This is just an example of what I have developed. You may have something better than this. Please use it. And please continue with your endeavor, with your good work to help companies achieve not only certification, but able to sustain the environmental management and has got good environmental performance, meaning they are able to perhaps achieve the intended outcome from the background of environment. Actually, waste minimization, cutting costs due to cutting of waste, all this. Okay, all the sort of things in this manner. Now, what I have here, what I want, yeah, let me show you. Our friends are here. Remember the input output analysis we've just done? They're all here. Okay, and the process name is here. That's how I put it. So it's simple for me to look at any time, and I get my people, my staff those days, to record this in the Excel. It is handy. Apparently, I'm not good at it. I'm more into PowerPoint because I really emphasize on training. And see, dirty spill kit. Okay, it's all here. Smoke emission is all here. And what we have are the environmental impact down here. So aspects is here, impact is over there. Now we have got here, let me just give you a bit of an idea what this is all about. These are all environmental aspects, impact criteria, and rating. So the criteria is not here, it is in another attachment. How they get 10, 10, 8, these are all figures coming from the attachment. We have defined our own criteria for magnitude, for severity, legal, etc. We have defined our own. We don't use the generic metrics. I'm not saying it's wrong, it is good, but as we have found sometimes, not all the time, sometimes environmental aspects which are supposed to be significant apparently became less significant, and when we run through our system, our dashboard, it becomes significant. So far, we have tested this with 17 types of different kinds of industries, and we have never gone wrong. Of course, before that, there's a lot of failure. Okay, but apparently, suddenly, and okay, and at last, we found something which is literally bulletproof. Okay, for that matter. Now we have got to include risk and opportunities. I prefer to have this column over here. It would come in handy. When we submit this or display this in management review, we can display the whole thing and get the top management to see our work. What are the risks and opportunities that our experts say? We could have experts in the company. Our colleagues, the EMR himself, the competent person, the environmental competent persons are experts. This is where you put your idea, okay, as far as risk and opportunities for the respective environmental aspects, okay, and then I would include environmental performance as well in the dashboard so that we know for every environmental aspect which one is performing, which one is performing less, which is not performing. Remember, intended outcome as per ISO 14001 version 2015. One of it is about performance. We have it here displayed before you, before the top management, before the committee. How handy is that? Okay, so this is the dashboard that I want to share with you, and I hope you develop something like this or even better. Okay, and I'm passing this baton to all fellow consultants who are younger, perhaps willing to learn fast, and auditors and trainers. You can use this and as your examples. And if you are companies or organization embarking on environmental management system ISO 14001 version 2015, I hope you would take this as your reference and think about it. Okay, that's the best I could do in this video. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, viewers, especially subscribers. You have been supportive. As a YouTuber, I would say what? Please like, share, and subscribe. It's all down there. uh, I'm feeling young because YouTubing for young people. So I don't have all this in my time, but now I'm enjoying life with all this. Thank you very much. And as a Malay, I would wish you in Bahasa Melayu, semoga dikurniakan keselamatan, kesenangan, kesejahteraan, kebahagiaan, dan kejayaan kehidupan di dunia dan di akhirat. And I wish everybody, whoever you are, wherever you are, what skin color, what hair color, what eye color, all over the world. All right? If you're in the world, if you're elsewhere, I'm not sure. I wish you this. Until we meet in the next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.